Hey everyone, we've had 3 incredibly busy weeks with a packed schedule. I'd say we're acing this test with a really impressive momentum building for Bitcoin and altcoins. The last 3 days were calmer, the market digested well, and indices are mostly in the green. Now we're heading into 2 days with an extremely busy calendar. Perfect timing, as Bitcoin stuck below the 100-day moving average around $64,000. We'll see a break up or down today or tomorrow. It's going to be intense. Options closed last Friday noon monthly. US time changes make it hard to pin down. It's around noon on Friday. There's about 8 billion in options. So we're looking at large volumes here. Then the max pain is at 58,000. What's key is the sudden options expiration. There'll be $6 billion in Bitcoin trades. This will likely pull Bitcoin towards 58,000. Until Friday noon's expiry, Bitcoin price gravitates to max pain. We'll see where it lands. That's the gist of what we know. Markets usually ease after into the weekend. This is quite exceptional. Artemis says Celo topped Tron in active stablecoin addresses. Crazy, as Tron's a huge player in stablecoins. You probably use it for USDT transfers, I think. People often use Tron for transfers because it's the cheapest option. ABSC is another option depending on the situation, but Tron is really the go-to choice. Celo has just become a layer 2 on Ethereum. It's official now, Celo becoming part of Ethereum. The Sun post, this is huge validation for Celo, really impressive news. Today we've got Hamster Combat. We'll see what we get from it. I'm not expecting much from this game. As I said, we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know if you have any airdrop ideas. I'll split it half for members, half for others. I'll do 2 separate small airdrops. Not worth much, but I got 6,000 and expect 5,500 day one. Bitcoin's price is starting to plateau. Let's take a look at the charts. We're at a major pivot point. Decision coming Friday before evening. These numbers are mind-blowing. RWA has huge potential. Chainlink is talking a lot about this stuff. They're predicting $10 trillion in tokenized assets by 2030. If you're managing $10 trillion in tokenized assets on a blockchain, that blockchain must be incredibly valuable. I believe there's still massive room for growth, which is why AI and RWA are frequently mentioned. Given the huge sums involved in RWA and AI, it's natural to think they'll be the 2 leading sectors. Next, I'm interested in Polymarket. I'm researching it and preparing a report that'll be out in a few days. 85% of people are betting Ethereum won't reach a new all-time high in 2025. If it were 90%, that'd be extremely bullish for Ethereum. I'm not saying always bet against Ethereum, but it's an interesting stat. Let me give you an example of blockchain analysis. I'll use a blockchain that's evolving and developing. If it were 90%, that'd be ultra bullish for Ethereum. Going against the crowd isn't always right, but this shows lost confidence like fear and greed. To me, it's a similar type of indicator. We'll revisit this in a year. I disagree. I think Ethereum will smash its old 88. Not many agree with me, according to this poll. We've discussed this before, but it's worth mentioning again. We should sell it for BitTorrent, and he looks younger. Oh yes, it's Vitalik. So, Vitalik Buterin. Once again, it's great to see. That's General Forge, the Forge subsidiary specializing in blockchain tech, partnering with Bitpanda on a Euro stablecoin. I hope it takes off. They already have a stablecoin that's performing poorly. We discussed it recently. I think it's only had about 100 transactions in a year or something like that. So far, it's been a huge flop. Maybe with Bitpanda, it'll go better. Now, this next bit isn't good news to me. MicroStrategy keeps accumulating Bitcoin. Bitcoin's big flaw is that it just increases in value, that's it. But you can't generate revenue with it, unlike Ethereum where you can stake or lend. Now, there are lots of restaking protocols, so there are many ways to generate extra income while holding tokens, and that's a drawback of Bitcoin. I suspected this would happen eventually. MicroStrategy is simply lending its bitcoins to people who, generally, what do? They short Bitcoin. So they have a huge position, 200,000 bitcoins, soon in the hands of funds, often called vulture funds, who play with them. Because when you have such large quantities of Bitcoin, if you decide to manipulate the price, betting on Bitcoin's fall by shorting massively with large amounts, you have 200,000 Bitcoins at your disposal. You can significantly impact Bitcoin's price. So for me, this isn't very good news, but it marks Bitcoin's entry into mainstream finance. We now see derivatives on BlackRock's Bitcoin ETFs. Big finance is coming, the vultures are arriving, and this is typically a vulture tool. Karen and listen, it's been ages since we've heard from them. We heard about SBF, and she only got 2 years. So much less than SBF. Some, shocked by the scandal, say the sentence is light. If that's what justice decided, I have no strong opinion. Next tone. I think this cycle we're talking a lot about AI and RWA, but most tokens you see now existed in the last cycle, except for Tao, but Fetch and others were already around. Compared to last cycle, there aren't many huge projects driving adoption. Last cycle, NFTs, metaverse, and gaming clearly attracted the public. I'd say only Tone and Telegram play that role this cycle. They're doing great work, and Tone might surprise us this bull run. Now looking at the map, it's not bad. We've got some good stuff like Wall-E. All this in just 8 months. Projected over a year, that's 500,000 annually. I mentioned recently, it went from 10 to 1. For me, it was worth a shot, so I tried. We'll keep an eye on that. Look, the map's mostly green anyway. Starknet's finally bouncing back after dropping almost 85%. As for Bitcoin, nothing exceptional. In terms of volume, it's like the stock market, slightly on hold. We're waiting for the stats. Looking at Bitcoin's 4-hour chart, it's perfect. Hope the next 2 days' stats don't ruin this ideal scenario since September 6th. Skyrocket. The mobile averages are really lining up nicely. On the daily chart, nothing to report. Moving on, still battling, making odd patterns. I want to say it'll pass, but to be safe we might pull back a bit. A slight retreat, maybe not lower, before potentially rising again. Next, stacks, which will likely follow Bitcoin as we discussed yesterday. Major pivot point, could explode if Bitcoin does well, else back to 1.40, 1.50. Lastly, CFX, a great project that's really taken a beating. I wonder if it's one of the hardest hit assets. Many bought at 1.80, it's crazy. Great asset at 1.80. Better prospects than a year ago as it's lower now. Tao's starting to saturate, showing wicks and uncertainty candles. It's normal, I wouldn't be surprised if it dips again, as I said. Around 400 would be a great level to buy more. Kilo's green candles look almost as big as the volume candle. The volumes are undeniable, that's for sure. What I love about the volume indicator, nothing happens, then boom. Suddenly, like here, we hope for a big turnaround. It needs to break 200. Come on, it needs to break 80 cents and we're off. Lastly, WorldCoin, as we discussed, has a super nice pattern. Generally, when it drops like that and gradually saturates, it cracks, then cracks again and again. For a real rebound, we'll need to hit the lows around $3. Otherwise, it's a fake out, higher, then lower and lower. Lastly, about Notecoin, I've waited long for it, but I doubt it'll ever drop. We discussed key stats earlier. It pretends to rise, but with bad news, boom, it falls again. We've waited for it, but I feel it might be starting up again. That's all from me. Have a great day. See you soon. Bye everyone.